The next presenter is Henriette Hultmann. She was like, I'm really putting myself on the line here, showing this picture. But I think it's one of the best Zorros I've ever seen. But before we even get to introducing Henriette as a presenter, we have to acknowledge that Henriette has been with us for 5 years now. So she's a very long-term client. And she is I think the only customer who's been to every single Open Nation that we've ever had. And so we actually got you a gift. And we just wanted you to have this little floating idea. It's not floating now, but it's a floating idea light bulb for your desk. So to thank you for all of the great ideas that have come from your program. Henriette is really great because her journey has been very iterative. You'll see one of the themes that's come up with a lot of the presentations is like, well, it went great, but then we had to reinvent it. And then we reinvented it, and then we had to start over again. And that is something that you've done several times. And you'll see that in her journey today and what your next steps will be as well. So thank you for presenting again, Henriette.
And just for the picture, we don't celebrate Halloween in Denmark, where I'm from, so I was really challenged on finding something. So, but that was it. Maybe I need this one. Yep. Okay, I need my notes. I'm gonna stand here. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about experiences and challenges with doing this collaboration approach. So I've been here many times, and I've heard all of you speak about all the success that you have experienced, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong? I mean, all the success and no challenges, because there's been a lot of challenges. That's how I see it. So when Jessica asked me about a month ago did I want to speak again, I thought, okay, I don't have something new to say. But then I thought, okay, maybe talk about the challenges and maybe get some insights from you guys on how to solve the challenges. So first, a little bit about Vestas. We do wind turbines. We employ around 25,000 people worldwide. We have 40 years of experience. We have a total of 67,000 turbines in 80 countries on 6 continents, and that's a total of 105 gigawatts. And 105 gigawatts, that's a lot. If you sort of break it down, it equals around 26 million homes powered by wind turbines from Vestas alone. So that's pretty awesome. So our revenue last year was 10.1 billion euro. That's around $11 billion. So pretty good as well. So this is our journey on the turbine side over the 40 years. So we went from really small turbines to really large turbines, and that is just increasing. So when you do it like this, small, go bigger, you need to do something else as well. So that's why in our strategy, we're also committed to collaborate with externals to sort of change and innovate, because when you do like these big turbines, you need something else to transport and manufacture and service. So a lot of changes coming up. So if I go and talk about my department and where I'm situated, it's called Innovation and Concepts. We started off in 2014. So I've been in Vestas since 2008, and the last years in Innovation Concepts. We started off with 7 people, and now we're around 70. We have these 4 sub-departments, concept development, which is focusing on opportunities close to the core, which is wind turbines. We have Ideation and partnering, focusing on partnerships and opportunities adjacent to the core, so looking at other stuff than wind turbines. We have to look into the future as well. EMS and storage, which stands for Energy Management Systems and Storage, focusing on energy solutions, energy trading, storage, batteries. And then we have a small unit focusing on market, business, and process. So our initial journey with IdeaScale started in early 2016. We started with we have two communities, an internal community called Ideas at Vestas and an external community called Innovate with Vestas. And our initial purpose were these 5 opportunities where we do the challenge-driven innovation, where we scope specific challenges. We do supplier-driven innovation, engagement with customers, some knowledge sharing, and then generic idea submission, both internally and externally. But we tried it off with universities in the beginning, and that proved really difficult. I don't know if universities are specifically difficult, but for us, it didn't work. Customers, I haven't forgotten it, but it's still not working. So right now we're focusing on internals, partners, and suppliers. And we do that both challenge-driven and generic. And by challenge-driven, we mean we scope a specific challenge and we invite a specific group to participate. And that's by far where we see the most value. The generic idea submission, we have like an open campaign internally where anyone can submit ideas. We've been thinking of doing it externally as well, but we are not so sure yet. But maybe it will come. So I would like to focus on something successful first. Ideas at Vestas, that's our internal community. The collaboration framework. So I was approached by a department outside innovation and concepts, and that's where most of our challenges are run, actually. So they wanted to get some help to populate their new product roadmap for the coming years. And they wanted to just have some help with a traditional workshop. So instead of that, I proposed that we did challenges ahead of the workshop. So they agreed, and the purpose was to generate ideas for technology and the cluster roadmaps, which is both in the future and near future. And they wanted to secure this pipeline of the ideas through a funnel, of course. So we did this ideation campaign on Ideas at Vestas. We did it cross-functionally. We invited 100 people, across departments and across business units. And the outcome was actually really good. So over 3 weeks, we did the challenges, so really short time span. We got 72 ideas across, I've blanked this out because these are the actual challenges. But we got 72 ideas in the challenges. And of the 72 ideas, 31 was decided to go forward. So that was really good. We got 200 votes and about 80 comments, so it was really successful. And the participation rate for the 100 people was approximately 90%. So it was really, really good, and I didn't expect that at all. So afterwards, we decided to do a fixed framework so we could sort of do this again. So we did this process, time-boxed challenge-driven solutions, where we sort of scope the challenge and do this really quick, just a 1-hour meeting with me. We run the challenges, submit, comment, vote, engage, and that's over approximately 3 weeks. We don't want to do it in longer time. And it takes around half an hour to 2 hours per person, depending on how engaged they are. We start off with a Skype call where the challenge owner and myself, we do this 30-minute Skype call, sort of to the challenge owner. He will present and describe the challenge, and I will sort of present the process, and then we'll kick it off. So really fast. But it also shows that the challenge owner, which is typically a chief in our organization, which is a great ambassador, he will sort of say, okay, this is what I want from the challenge, and this is how you can interact. And after the 3 weeks, we will review and down select the ideas. And in the first run, we had these 7, 8 criteria that were reviewed. And the group was around 7 people that did all the reviews in IdeaScale, the 5-star review, and I mean, massive data set. So it was far too much. So we changed that to just 2 review criteria, and we did the selection. And the selection was done in a couple of meetings where we down selected to the 31 ideas, and then ended up in a workshop, 2-hour workshop, where we sort of distributed the ideas, the 31 ideas, to which roadmap it was going on to, and who would do what and own it, and next steps. And in that workshop, we used a print idea. Thank you, Eric. Really good. I love that. So that made my world so much easier. And then in the end, we put it in sort of a repository so we can revisit all the ideas when maybe we're more mature to look at it. Afterwards, to sort of get this out and people to be aware of this opportunity, I did an article sort of to communicate a lot on our internal site. And my idea was to just get comments and quotes from the participants, and particularly from the chiefs and the senior specialists who were really important persons in our organizations. And I mean, Ture, who is the owner, the challenge owner, he said, we've been able to communicate our needs and challenges to our main stakeholders and include them in the discussion and decision making. And they achieved a common understanding of the challenge owner challenges. And another one, the ideas and input collected are more novel and interesting than we previously gathered. That's really great to hear this. And about the framework and the tool, it was a new way to engage people. And this is something that we also achieved from the framework, that we engaged broadly across a large group of people on different time zones and continents. And since it is a roadmap discussion, it's also the work that the people are going to be doing in the future. So when they're engaged in what they will be doing, they're much more loyal and engaged in their daily work. So that was really successful. So if we go on to the external part, which has been the really challenging move. Innovate with Vestas, that's what we call it. We started in 16. It was a supplier push. The suppliers was asking, how can we come with ideas to Vestas that we're not asking for? And it would come in usually as an email, and no one would really do anything about it or see it. So they wanted to have a way in. So we did this. We did it really quick. Over a few weeks, we set up this external community. And I thought, okay, that's going to be really easy. We presented it at a supplier day, and whoop, whoop, that would be fast. But no, definitely not. So what did happen is we finally got 3 different suppliers into the community. And since then, we have 3 ideas from the suppliers. So it didn't work at all. But the challenges on the external part was probably the legal agreement that was connected with getting into this framework. It favored Vestas completely. So we owned everything going into this system. So of course, no supplier had any encouragement to do anything. Resources, we don't have time, both investors and maybe suppliers. Timing and maturity, although we said we were ready, we probably weren't ready. So taking this step with our suppliers requires a certain amount of risk willingness. And the challenges are equal internally. It's also all about resources. We never have time to do something else. And how do we say, okay, it's another tool, a new process? How do we get people to do this? That's definitely challenging. So right now, my focus is involving the suppliers early and engaging the workforce internally. So I've sort of narrowed it down to be these two specific objectives that are important. And how to do this? Extensive communication and just keeping on, being persistent, because I think I should have maybe let go many years ago about this supplier engagement. But now it seems like we are actually ready. We've done a lot of communication. We kept on going. And what we finally managed to do was to get a new legal agreement. About 6 months ago, a collaboration agreement is what we call it. And it's way different than what we previously had. The main difference is it's a much more open approach. It's a partnership spirit agreement. It's a flexible agreement that can change from supplier to supplier. We take calculated risks. I mean, we know the risks, a lot of risks, but we know them up ahead. So we don't have any predefined rights to new IP. That's what we agreed. No guaranteed freedom to operate, no second sourcing, and no exclusivity to new IP. So we go into these agreements with our eyes wide open, so we know it. But the way we can mitigate it is by selecting the right type of suppliers, the ones that we think has the right mindset and are eager to do it in this partnership spirit as well. And then we expect to have like a point of contact from Vestas to sort of oversee what's going on. And maybe at a certain stage, an idea is ready to go into different kind of agreement, maybe a joint development agreement or a PDA instead. And then we'll take it out of this setting. And by doing this collaboration agreement, we're creating a balance between what the supplier gets from the collaboration and what we get. So we are giving the supplier access to our knowledge and we're getting access to them. But it's a much more balanced way of working. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So what have I learned? It is 3 years, not 5. You're right. You're right. It is my 5th time. But the learnings from these 3-4 years, scope challenges are the best for us. So we define the scope and we select an employee group specifically to the challenge. Also, we have the challenges we have include a lot of IP, so we need it to be scoped and selected employee group. We do it time limited, so not over a long period of time. And the challenge owner is very important. So having a challenge owner that's committed and maybe has some good ponders in the organization, that's really important as well. Outreach emails, I know some of you said we don't want to send too many emails, but I've experienced that specific emails with information are good. And I have sort of created them, and then the challenge owner, he sends them off. And that gives a a spike in the challenges, we can see it instantly. Then also a simpler setup. So doing it everything from how our community looks, to the funnels, to the review setup, we've sort of just made it a lot more simple. We started off with 15 review criteria, all connected to our strategy. And okay, you can never do that. So doing it more simple. And then timing and maturity, it's essential. Because maybe management says, okay, we're ready to do this, but maybe they're really not. So being at a mature stage is really important, and knowing when that is. So what we did with the external part, we went on and had a meeting with our CEO, COO, and CTO at the same time, presented 5 slides where we sort of described where we were coming from, and where we wanted to go, what the collaboration agreement was, and the risks as well. We didn't narrow that down, and they agreed that they were ready to do this, to take the risk and do the collaboration with the suppliers. So what I need from you, and why I said yes to doing this again, I would like a way to show the value of running the challenge-driven community and innovation in an organization. So how can I show the value? How can I leverage that from you? Any experience, and this is really important for me, any experience with early supplier engagement, or it could be customer engagement, that would fairly be the same as a fly here. Good or bad, that would be really appreciated. And then how can we change the mindset of let's keep doing it as we usually do? And that's it.